We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans all over from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Concannons, Carters, and Greeks. All right, everyone out there in Cardinal land, welcome to another edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches and support staff members, as you'll see today, and fun off-the-wall debates you won't hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, when you hear that beautiful voice and that beautiful song, you know we're about to be talking Ball State. Now, before we jump in, as you saw, we're going to have some great guests here from equipment rooms of the past. But before we get right into that, we got to do a little bit of business, as always. And remember, as always, Ball State of the Union is partnering with The Shop Indy. That's www.theshopindy.com. And anything you order there, anything Central Indiana, whether it's Colts, Pacers, Ball State, Indiana Fever. Again, why you would want to do this, I don't know, but Indiana, Purdue, Butler. If you use code BS Union, you're going to get free shipping on your order. Again, that's code BS Union on anything you order from the Shop Indy. So get out there, buy some of these shirts. They have new hats come out recently. Support the shop, support the show. So again, that's code BS Union. Now, we have a very special show today. Special to me personally. We're going to be talking with one of the most important departments within a football organization or even any organization in sports, but it's often overlooked. And that's the equipment room. From helmets to laundry, from late night fixes to game day setups, equipment room and the staff keep everything running behind the scenes so that the Cardinals can shine on the field on Saturdays. So we're going to hear a bunch of stories tonight about the long hours, the moments that make the crew the heartbeat of Ball State football. So I was a student manager myself back in the day, and I'm getting old, so it's been a while now. So this is, I graduated in 2015. So 2014, I was a student manager for a year. And along the way, I've made some good friends from people who work in those equipment rooms. So here's a couple of them right now. I got three guys that are going to talk to us today. So first off, former head, which means full-time, this is a full-time job, equipment manager. This is Jack Bees. Jack, how you doing?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good. Next, we have former head student equipment manager, Shay Kramer.
How we doing,
Shay,
John?
good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
And my former student manager as well, lover of green shirts, my friend Jeremy Bryant. Jeremy? Oh, you have a green shirt on tonight. Look at that. Even better. So, boys, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation for people. Again, this is bye week, so we're trying to fill out as much stuff as we can because Ball State of the Union never stops. We're going to put shows out for people anyways. So a lot of people don't probably know about the equipment staff and kind of what all goes into it. So, Jack, I'm going to start with you. You were a former head equipment manager. There's only been a handful of them because obviously all of our former boss, Tex Ritter, he was around for a long time. So, Jack, kind of run us through what the equipment manager is for a college football team.
Yeah, so I actually was under Ryan McGorry. I missed Tex by a year. So Tex was there for, 30 years, fellas? And then Magoo came in, was there for 5. Rob was before me, and then I was there. So it's a couple removed from Tex. But the head equipment manager's main responsibility pretty much is to make sure that we're going to be able to go out there, we're going to be able to practice, and we're going to be able to play games. We're kind of in charge of everything that is non-medical and non-coaching decisions kind of falls under our realm of things. So anything from getting laundry done on a day-to-day basis to deciding what jersey combination we're going to wear that week to this time of year. I'm working on it currently. What our orders are going to be for next year. A lot of people don't realize that, but we got to put orders in this time of year for 9-10 months from now. So you kind of get a whole wide range of those responsibilities are underneath your realm of the equipment room.
Okay. So you're talking about the ordering, and I know, it's a big, long, like 8-9 months advance. How much stuff would you say a football team at the Division I level orders every year? Like, how many helmets do you have to order? How many jerseys? How many footballs? Pairs of socks? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it all really kind of depends on the team and kind of where you're at, your budget, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of teams are starting to move to a custom fit helmet.
Mm,
So there's a new helmet out there called the SpeedFlex True Fit. And the nice thing about the SpeedFlex True Fit and the age of the transfer portal and all that stuff is I could put you in the helmet, John. And if you make it all 4 years, awesome. If you don't, if you transfer after a year, I can take that helmet and I can get you rescanned and I can put Shea back in that helmet.
mm,
So from a helmet standpoint, kind of try to get that one helmet for each new individual coming in, but not necessarily always a brand new helmet right out of the factory. Sometimes we can kind of rotate those helmets around and do that side of things. Try to get shoulder pads. I mean, one for each kid coming in. Socks. I think we got 10,000 pairs of socks in the equipment room currently.
mm.
So we kind of just keep those on standby. Uh, we try to give everybody, a couple shirts, a couple hoodies. I mean, all kind of depends on what school you're at and what you got going forward there.
Okay. So at Ball State, so the people who don't out there know, Ball State, for the most part, throughout history, has had one equipment manager. And so that equipment manager will always rely on the student managers quite a bit, which was our two guys down here at the bottom. So Shay, I'll start with you. You were the head student manager for a little while. Kind of how did you fall into that role? How did you get that job basically? And then kind of what did your role kind of entail?
So, freshman year of college, I came into Ball State. I really didn't have any connections. I actually had a buddy of mine that I played basketball with his brother in high school that was a manager on the football team. Shout out Zach Keller if you're listening. Um, he texted me one day. He said, "Hey man, Texas looking for an extra student manager. Would you be interested in doing it?" I didn't really know what it entailed at the time, so he's just like, "Hey, just come out to a practice one day. You can kind of see what we do." And I came out to one practice, and it was kind of history after that. I fell in love with Ball State football, and I fell in love with the manager job.
Mm-hmm. So as you transitioned throughout the years and you became kind of the head student manager, basically, what kind of roles did you have when you got into that position?
So the head student manager under Tex, at least, I was there kind of in that transition period, Tex's final year, and then ended up being Ryan McGorry's first year. So I was in that transition period. But under Tex, I was kind of in charge. We had inside guys and we had outside guys. The inside guys were kind of taking care of the equipment, kind of like what Jack said, the helmets, everything else. The outside guys were the ones taking care of practice, making sure we had everything for field. So I was more in charge of the outside guys, and I was in charge of making sure we had enough managers to support the coaches outside, and then each one of us managers were in charge of a position, and we had to get with that coach every single practice to make sure we had any pads, anything like that they needed out in the field, and then when they needed it and where they needed it, so practice could move quickly and swiftly.
Yeah, and so Jeremy, Shay's kind of talking about running practice. I know you were one of the people out there running practice. You know, you'd been there a couple of years by the time I got there. Kind of go through what your role was, maybe what positions you worked with, and then also talk about a little bit what your jobs on game day were, because I knew you had a little bit kind of a unique job on game day as well.
Yeah, year one, I was with the DBs, Shannon Morrison, and uh, day to day there was everything was different, whether it was just gathering tennis balls or, pulling out the tent for the DBs to run under. And then my second year, I was with the defensive coordinator or linebackers, um, grabbing trash cans, lining those up, spotting the ball over there with them. Um, I can't remember that coach's name, but worked under him for a year, and then
He had a great impact on you.
yeah, very 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 large impact.
It wasn't Bateman, was it?
No, it was the year after him, and he was only was it
John
Kelly?
was Kelly, yeah, Coach
Kelly,
Kelly.
that's
Yeah,
it.
Coach Kelly.
Yeah, so getting yelled at by him was a good time. Um, him and Shannon were both yellers. Um, but yeah, so I worked with those two. Game day, first year I was a ball boy, visiting team sideline, which is I always thought was super fun, especially when you go to the bigger schools. I was a ball boy on Virginia's sideline. I think Shay was on the side with me at Virginia, and it was always really cool going to the bigger stadiums and seeing all the guys, how different teams prepped for game day, and just seeing how their coaches interacted with players versus how ours interacted, which specific players is probably a little bit different, but overall it's pretty general. Everybody kind of does the same thing. And then my second year, I was up in the booth getting the headsets all set up for the game, making sure that, each coach could hear, unplugging and plugging the headsets back in. And then, if there was any running down to the field that needed to be done, I was the one that would do that.
Okay. And yeah, so you mentioned the headsets. The headsets are obviously a big thing. We had some technical difficulties before we started the show with some headsets.
Yeah.
So Jack, as the head guy, how big of a pain in the butt can those headsets be, and how important are they, like, to the day-to-day or game day operations, basically?
Yeah. I always tell people the only thing you can't hide is those headsets. I can hide a spare jack strap. I can hide, some spare stuff here and there on the clothing side of things, or we even bring backup helmets, backup shoulder pads. There aren't backup headsets. At the end of the day, that thing's either running or it's not running. On a day-to-day side of things, most programs have a practice set of headsets. Way to look at it is it's more like a high school set.
Okay.
And that's kind of just, you just kind of turn them on and they just roll. For the game day side of things, some of my worst nightmares come true when it comes to that. We were actually at Bowling Green in 2022. And we get down, they kick a field goal, go up 3 with about minute 50 something left in the game. We get the ball back and lost all communication. We could talk to each other upstairs. We could talk to each other downstairs, but it wasn't running down. So Kevin Lynch and everybody had to come running down the field and try to call the game from the sideline to end the game, which again is just I don't know if you can ever put that into words of that feeling when you're the head equipment manager or anybody working on headsets, and that happens, especially when we end up losing the game. I think I sat there for about an hour afterwards on the field just looking at the machine. Yeah, I mean, exactly what happened. And for those kind of listening, the way that the headsets work is that there are fibers that run from the sideline all the way up to the press box. So you can kind of plug both in, and there's normally 8 channels on those. And a lot of times, you might have issues going into a game, and channel 1 might be choppy or channel 6 might be choppy. That's the only time I've heard of it and seen it where all 8 gone down at a time. So I'm not here to accuse Bowling Green of doing anything wrong, but it's awfully suspicious that happened.
What does the conversation with Mike New sound like after the game once he gets he corners you and tries to figure out what happened?
I love Coach New. I'm going to start with that. Coach New is my guy. I love Coach New. But he is it's like a disappointed parent. He's going to look at you, and it's a tough conversation. I guess I'll say that. But it's just tough. But he was understanding. For the most part, I pulled him in, and the nice thing is that you could set those systems up where you could plug them right into each other. And so the next day, we got back to Muncie at 2 o'clock in the morning, plugged them in, and kind of showed Coach New, like, hey, our system works fine. But it's just kind of something that happened on their end. Yeah.
John, I got a story with headsets too.
Oh, okay, please do. Yeah, and also, guys, before we go on, I have like somewhat of an outline here, but yes, please just interject at any point with whatever stories you got.
Yeah, so I don't know, Jeremy, you might have been on this trip. I don't know, John, if you were on this trip to Army. Did you go to Army?
Yep.
I wasn't there.
Okay, Army. We pack the truck and everything, and we get all the way to Army. Army is the only game I ever remember that it downpoured from the kickoff to the last play, just a straight downpour. Miserable day in West Point. And we unpacked the truck, and we realized we forgot the battery packs to the headsets. So Tex was trying to get them shipped overnight. Well, they didn't make it in time for the game. So we're we had to wire all of the coaches on the field to the
Oh.
box. So we have like so all of us managers are holding an individual coach's wire throughout the game, and we're like dipping under each other, trying to make sure that we don't get tangled. And there was times we got tangled. It was just a hot freaking mess. And Tex was not a happy camper with us that day because we forgot the battery packs. And then we get home from West Point, and the next day we come in from Sunday to unpack the truck, and he goes, well, they made it to West Point. We're like, well, it doesn't do us any good now. But that's one game that stuck out in my mind, was miserable because we forgot the battery packs, and we're over here trying not to get all these wired tangled. Wired headsets are the worst.
The worst. Okay. Well, Shay, I
Just,
wanted to go.
one time
Okay.
I was happy to be up in the box. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
So Shay, I wanted to go to you. We're talking a little bit about Mike New. Obviously, as the head, student manager, you had a little bit of a closer relationship with Pete Limbo than some.
Yeah.
Did you have any good stories or anything you remember about your time with Coach Limbo?
Well, so Coach Limbo, first of all, I love the guy. He was a hell of a coach. But for 4 years, he never knew my name.
Oh, okay.
For some reason. He called me Chris for some reason. And every time he would scream at me, it would take me a second to respond. So it kind of looked like I was slow of hearing or something, but that was never my name. And I told him multiple times, I said, Coach, that's not my name. And he would just keep calling us Chris every time he needed something. So here he is in the middle of practice needing something, yelling Chris, and I'm slow to react, so it looks like I'm not even paying attention. And so I just got used to be calling Chris by year 3, probably.
Okay.
I think it was my senior year where he started calling you Shane.
Yeah, Shane.
I remember Shane,
I've had a different name almost from Coach Limbo.
Finally.
Yeah.
Close.
So Jeremy, you're a couple years in, you guys start making it to some bowl games. Kind of walk me through the process of getting ready for a bowl game and then kind of like the game itself.
We practiced at a high school down in Alabama there for, I think it was like a whole week leading up. I know that Shay, was it a high school in Auburn? I feel like it was really, or not Auburn.
That was in Mobile.
It was in Mobile.
Yeah.
So we practiced at a high school in Mobile.
Actually,
the
the
whole
GoDaddy
week
Bowl right
leading
there.
up, and what was it?
The GoDaddy Bowl sign right there.
The GoDaddy Bowl,
class.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we practiced at a high school for an entire week leading up to it. Had to load up a semi truck and bring it there, and we were able to use their shed pretty much the whole week. I think it was like a 40-minute drive on a bus from the hotel there, and we did that just about every night. One of the nice things, though, is it was January up here, so it was super cold, but down in Mobile, it was, a crisp 40 degrees, which was significantly warmer than up here. So great weather. But yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. Just kind of transporting all the stuff was probably the biggest thing. And then, leading up to the game, everybody seemed super ready, super prepared. Coaches are on high alert trying to get ready for, leaving or getting ready for the next year. And, day of game, it's transferring everything over to the stadium that you're going to play in. And really just
At that point, it's pretty much normal, back to normal, right?
Yeah.
So that was the GoDaddy Bowl in late 2013, early 2014. I have a good story about that, and then Shay, I want to ask you about the bowl game the year before. So I was not a student manager at this point. I was watching this game back in Muncie, and as Jeremy was alluding to, it was very cold back. We had the first couple days of class canceled because it was so cold that year. It was like negative 20 degrees or something like that. And so my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, sitting in the living room on the other side of the wall here, we ordered pizza to watch this game, me and some of my friends, and she was over. And when she called to order the pizza, she said specifically, you need to make sure you bring cheese sauce for this pizza. So they come, again, it's like negative 20 degrees outside. This poor delivery guy shows up and gives her the pizza. She says, well, where's the cheese sauce? He goes, oh, sorry, I forgot it. She's like, well, I guess you got to go back and get it. So she sent this guy back in like negative 20 degrees while we're watching this Ball State football game to get her a cup of cheese. And he went back, got it. So shout out to that guy. But and then she laughed at us because we were all upset because Ball State unfortunately ended up losing that game. And she doesn't really care about sports at all. So she was kind of like didn't understand why we were upset. But so Shay,
One of the cool things.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the cool things about that game though is there was a big snowstorm, and we couldn't fly back, so we got a couple extra days. We never got the per diem for it, but we did get I think like 1 or 2 days out of classes. And got to stay down in Mobile.
Yeah, I do remember that because I remember they moved the players to a different hotel because we couldn't stay in the hotel, and then they condensed us managers from like 5 rooms down to 2. And then I remember one of the managers ended up getting sick. He had the flu, so we left him in that room. So here we are with about 8 or 9 managers in a 2-bedroom room for 1 or 2 nights, waiting to get home. And then I remember we landed into Indianapolis. And I mean, it's probably an hour and a half drive to Indianapolis, or from Muncie to Indianapolis. Usually, it probably took us about 4 or 5 hours just to get home from.
It was like negative 30,
and we left at like 4 in the morning. Yeah,
and it's only us majors. It's like, hey, players, grab a bag. Come on.
There's a rumor on the street the old Cards had a similar issue to that coming back from UConn.
They did, yes.
They had a similar issue to that and got stuck out in stores for an extra
they
night.
Did. So we had I was actually in UConn. I went to the game this weekend, and afterwards I was talking to Chris Radican. He's the radio analyst for Ball State football, and so we were talking after the game before they got on the bus and everything. So I don't think anything of it. I go home. I go to my buddy's house. He lives up there in Massachusetts, pretty close to where they're at. And I wake up the next morning, I see a text at like 5 a.m. He's like, well, we just got back to the hotel room in Connecticut. We never left. So they had like mechanical issues, something like that. So they never even left. They didn't end up flying back until Sunday. I basically beat them home. I flew back Sunday at noon. And I think they landed at like 1. I think I landed at like 2:30 back down here in South Florida. So yeah, no good on that situation.
That's crazy.
But Shay, we're talking about bowl games, and an interesting thing, the year before at the Beef O'Brady's Bowl, played at a baseball stadium for people who out there know. Was it much different setting up and getting ready at a baseball stadium than it is a regular football stadium?
We actually didn't get access to at that Tropicana Field at that time until the day before the game. Again, during a bowl week, you're there the whole week before the game. So just like down in Mobile, we practiced at a high school for 4 or 5 days, but we didn't actually have access to Tropicana Field because I think like a Circus Olay was going on before our game the days prior. So like even just getting into the stadium to see what we even had to do, we had to wait until they had it basically set up. And again, strict college rules. If UCF was on the practice field or even in the building, we weren't allowed to be in the building, type of thing. But the setup in the press box was a little weird. It was kind of like a baseball luxury suite. Okay. So it was a little bit different than what you would think a football press box was. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was still a pretty nice luxury suite, but yeah, it was just a little different being in a baseball stadium for sure.
And did they put you guys in the clubhouses, or where was the locker room?
Yeah, so Ball State was actually in the visiting baseball locker room, and then UCF, I don't think they were in the Tampa Bay, right? They have another auxiliary locker room there. They weren't actually in the Rays clubhouse at the time. Go ahead. Was
it like much smaller than a normal football locker room? I guess visiting stadium locker rooms is usually pretty small, but I was just trying to figure out how small a baseball locker room would be.
Compared to some of the locker rooms that we went to, I would say they were comparable, if not bigger. Okay. Just the only thing with a bowl game is everybody travels. Like in the college game, you have a travel team where only 80 or 70 of them travel each week. Jack, how many travel each week again? I forget off the top.
I think we're allowed 76 in conference play. So out of conference play, you could travel as many as necessary, but it's normally about 80.
Yeah, 80. So yeah, during the season, you can only travel about 80. So about 20 to 30 players are being left behind in their weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. But during the bowl week, all 110 of them come down. So you had to I remember just setting up chairs in the middle of the locker room just to make room. So it did seem a little bit more condensed just because you had 110 more people in there. But compared to some of the other stadiums we've been throughout my career, it was comparable.
Okay. Jack,
Yeah.
I want to kick back to you. Oh, what'd you have?
I was just going to add to the baseball stadium comment there. We played 2 games in Wrigley last year. We're going to play another
Okay.
2 this year, and we use the batting cages. So we're set up in the
Oh.
Cubs. We set up in the Cubs clubhouse, and then we set up kind of all those, I guess, non-travel guys. You know what I mean, or your normal
Mhm.
non-travel guys down in the batting cages, and then the visiting team gets everybody dressed upstairs. But the visiting clubhouse at Wrigley Field is about 100 steps down the steps to the batting cages and then out onto the field. So
Mhm.
they transition and put everybody at halftime and stuff is in the batting cages. And then so we don't have the ability to go up to the Cubs clubhouse. So our halftime setup's actually out in the bullpen. So it's kind
Oh,
of
okay.
it is a very unique and different setup playing in those baseball
Yeah.
stadiums.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I guess we never said this. Jack he was the head equipment manager for Ball State for the last couple of years, and then recently he took a job and he has the same position at Northwestern. So anyone out there who's looking for a number 2 team, let's make it be the Northwestern Wildcats.
Which I think
yeah,
we go to them in a few years, don't we?
next year, yeah,
Next year in the new stadium. So
new stadium. So we'll be there. Everyone out there will be up there, loud and proud. We'll probably be a decent amount of Ball State people there, I would assume. Before I
You
go
gonna
on,
travel with us, Shay?
yeah.
I would love
coming
to. That's drivable, so I might be able to make that one.
As is Ohio State for you, Shay.
Yep,
Ohio
State.
One.
Yeah.
Jack, I have a question for you, but before we go, I want to talk about interesting setups still. So, one of my jobs with the Colts when I was working there was in the equipment room, and we traveled to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, everyone now knows of their home is SoFi Stadium, but their first couple of years when they went back out there, they were still in the LA Coliseum, and that place was built in I think the early 1900s, and we with the NFL team, 56 guys on a game day. We had no room at all to do anything. You couldn't even go into the locker room to pick stuff up. So I can't imagine how a college team would get in there with, an in-conference game. Stanford played USC the night before we were there. So it's crazy. But anyways, I'm
we actually
rambling
play
here.
out there this year. Play out there in a couple weeks on a Friday night. We go out to USC. So.
Well, you have fun with that because that locker room is horrible. So
Thank you.
I'll give you a heads up.
I can't wait.
So Jack, I was curious because as time has gone on here, something that's gotten really big in college athletics, and Ball State was a little bit of a late adopter of this, but they got into it a little bit, was these expanded uniform options, different helmets, different things like this. So you being the head equipment guy at Ball State and obviously now at Northwestern, how much input did you have in the designing of those uniforms and kind of when they got worn?
We have a major input of those uniforms. Obviously, none of those designs, none of that stuff really gets into play or gets going unless it's through us, per se. So we normally sit down. There's normally a group or a team that helps put it together. Normally myself, normally someone for operations, the DFO or chief of staff or somewhere in that line of things, and then head coach, and then normally someone from administration that normally has some kind of ties to marketing. Kind of sit down and put all that together. And normally most teams, if you're in Nike school, you have your normal Nike setup or Adidas setup. There's normally not a lot of change into necessarily the kind of uniform or the kind of jersey you're going to wear. It would just be the kind of setup in the sense of all right, do we want to have white and red on the stripes, or do we want to do just a white stripe or just a red stripe? Kind of just deciding that kind of tune to things. So actually, I was part of that last rebrand at Ball State to put together all those new black jerseys and all that kind of stuff there. That was a really unique experience, really cool experience. Unfortunately, administration made the decision to move away from Dance and Charlie there, but it's still she's still living on the uniform. Got her in time. So like I said, it's normally a long process. That's a process that normally starts at least a year in advance to get things ready to go, and then kind of move on from there.
So for the schedule for the year, is that mapped out before the season starts, or is that like a week-to-week basis? Like if you get hot and you rattle off 2 or 3 wins in a row after you go through a slump, are you going to wear the same thing, or how does that kind of get all settled out?
Normally that's normally set up in advance.
Mhm.
That's normally something that is done normally in June-ish,
Mhm.
somewhere in there. And it's normally done with the team captains or the like leadership council or some, I mean, older members of the team kind of sit down in a room at Ball State specifically. Um, it was Coach New, myself, Byron Ellis, shout out Big B, chief of
Mhm.
staff, and then our leadership council. And we'd sit down and we would go and we'd say, all right, first game's against Northwestern. You don't have an option. You have to wear a white jersey on the road.
Mhm.
Um, and then, well, you do have the option. That's a long story and another story for another time.
Yeah. Yeah.
For all you that are aware of the Northwestern situation at the
Yep.
beginning of this year, but
Mm.
the most of the time you're going to wear a white jersey on the road. You're going to wear colored, whatever your color.
Uh-oh, we lost Jack.
Oh shoot, sorry, I lost you
Oh,
there.
there he is.
And then from there, we'll sit down. And when I was there, we had a white and a black helmet with a white and black mask. And then we had the Cardinal head, we had Dance of Charlie, we had numbers, we had anything, that kind of stuff that you might want or need. So we kind of sit down and we say, hey, we're going to Northwestern. We want to wear all white. Sure, all white, let's go. Or, hey, we're going to Penn State. Let's wear, white and black pants because it's grass and it's going to be a pain in the butt getting that cleaned up. We don't want to have all that blue paint everywhere. So you kind of just sit down and you just talk through everything. That normally happens in June. It's normally about a three-hour meeting, and kind of just work it all out at once and the side of things that you want.
So one more question about uniforms, because it's kind of been a hot topic on our show. So it seems like the last few years with Dancing Charlie and some of the iterations of him, holding the flag and doing stuff like that, there's some creativity that's been allowed. And then obviously when Ryan was there, he did like the big cardinal head, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but they were letting him try different things. We have a couple ideas, and Jack, I'm curious to know if these ever came across your guys' desk, and if they did, maybe why they weren't allowed to be used. So let me throw a couple ideas your way, and you tell me kind of if this would ever be possible to happen. So number one, I think we've actually seen it before. They made a mock-up of it. A Ball State helmet that has like the ball jar script on it. Has that ever come up in conversations in your time as an equipment guy? Oh no, I think he's muted here. All right, we'll move on. Okay, so Shay and Jeremy, here we go. We'll start wrapping it up here a little bit. I want you to tell me, Shay and Jeremy, who's the favorite Ball State player that you worked with in your time with the team?
Jeremy, you want to go first, or you want me to?
I'll let you.
All right. So when I was there, I was in charge of the running back. So I was with Coach Lustig. He was the running backs coach and special teams coach at the time. I just loved working with Jawan. You had him on here a few weeks ago. Jawan and Horatio Banks, Teddy Williamson, just to name a few running backs. But just watching those guys, and I coach today. Just watching the work ethic that those guys brought every day. I like to think I was blessed in the time I was at Ball State because I got to work with Juwan Edwards, obviously Willie Snead, Keith Winning. In my opinion, three of the great players that ever played at Ball State. And not many managers get to say they went to 2 bowl games as their time. But working with Jawan, Coach Lustig, it got to the point where I didn't even have to ask him what drills we were doing that day. I knew what was going on, and I had it set up. So I tried to make life as easy as possible for him. But my pick would probably be Juwan Edwards. He's
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, yours as well, and then Jack's back. We'll get him back on here in just a second.
Awesome. I've got 2 probably honorable mentions. When I was with the linebackers, I would say Ben and Ryan. They were always just goofing around, and you'd get the ball back, they'd throw it at you or throw it at the ground, and whatever. Just kind of always joking around at practice. That's Ben Engel and Zach Ryan.
Mhm.
And then
Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad.
Oh, fuck, what? I forgot about that.
Yes. And then honestly, I really liked Jameel. I never really worked with the receivers or anything along those lines, but Jameel Smith was just always so cool. Such just a good guy to be around, and was always doing the right things. So, and then it kept everybody involved at practice. So yeah,
Okay.
I would say those three.
Okay. All
And
right,
I
Jack.
would say one thing,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
The number one misconception with equipment managers is that we're water boys or towel boys.
True.
We never touched the water. We never touched the towels. That was not our job. Our job was everything else in between there.
That's right.
So it's
there you
athletic
go.
trainers.
Yeah.
Shay, I'm not above anything. If we're in the middle of a game, it's a fourth quarter, it's a
Right,
long drive,
obviously.
I'll grab a bottle of water and then
Yeah.
so I can go win the game.
All right,
Shay
Jack.
is above it.
Jack, now that I got you back here, I lost
Sorry
you.
about that.
I lost you in the
sorry.
middle. So here's what my question was. So I've had some ideas in the past, and it seems like sometimes Ball State lets you guys get creative with stuff you're going to put on the helmets, and other times not as much. It seems like this year, I think they're down to one helmet. And I think they're basically just keeping the same decals. But I had a couple ideas, and I'm curious to see. I know one of them got across somebody's desk at some point, but I want to see if they have, and if they have, how far they got. So the first idea. The ball script, like on the jars on a helmet. I've seen a prototype of them. Did that ever come up while you were working?
So yes, that is something that comes up often. The issue that came down to that is that the licensing side of that script is not. It had to do with licensing. I don't know if it wasn't with the university, like it was with the Ball Foundation. So trying to get that approved on the licensing side of things. Was never able to kind of get across. But yes, that is something that came up often. I can think of at least 2 or 3 helmets in the facility that were there 14 months ago when I was there that have it on there. But yeah, that's kind of one that a lot of people like. I think a lot of people would love to see it. It was a licensing issue that wasn't able to get it across.
Okay. My other one that I always want to see. So obviously when we had Dancing Charlie, you got him, obviously in his normal pose, and you get him with the American flag and stuff like that. I want to see maybe a Dancing Charlie, maybe just a traditional Cardinal head, but I want to see Garfield on the helmet somewhere. Has Garfield ever come up in talks of getting on the helmet?
That's the first time I've heard about Garfield. Guess thinking about it off the top of my head, because that is the first time I've heard about it. Being able to get Garfield on the side of the helmet.
Could be him, running the ball. It could be him passing. Western Kentucky a couple years ago they took the Hilltopper, and whatever position you played, he was playing that position on the side of your head. Could maybe have Garfield doing that. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think the pushback is going to probably be because in branding with all schools, Ball State included, and Northwestern, everybody's always worried about their marks, their main marks, and this, that, and the other. Get it drilled in my head every day that we can't do this because of marks. I tell them that, well, nobody wants to do your normal mark. Everybody wants to do the cool things, but they don't always listen to us in the equipment room, as you three all know. Yep. You might be able to do something, kind of thinking about it, maybe on the back of the helmet. So you took away the stripe. You had your Cardinal head on one side, your number, and then if you did Garfield kind of on the back center. To kind of, some people do, you'll see people do little patches, like circle patches or circle decals on the back of the helmet there to remember somebody. You could probably do something like that. You could probably get a good 3-inch Garfield. And do that. I think it would just be, again, it would be working with that whoever owns that licensing marks and stuff, and just making sure you're cleared to use it and stuff. But yeah, I think that'd be interesting. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So if for some reason a Garfield helmet ever gets made, I'm going to get one. It's going to go right back here behind me. So
there you go.
Jack, while we lost you, I was having these guys tell me, who is your favorite player in your time at Ball State? It could be as a student manager, as a head manager that you worked with. Who's your favorite one?
Ooh, favorite player. I kind of want to go Danny Pinner. Danny was a good guy. Danny was one of those guys from the beginning that he kind of looked out for me. As a young kid and a young buck in the equipment room, and was one of those guys that was awesome. I was a student manager.
Oh, jeez.
See his transition from tight end to tackle, and even his first couple of years there, Danny never really. You never knew you didn't know what you were going to get, Danny. Kind of his redshirt year and everything. So, it is probably him. But there's been a lot of good guys come through there, and there's been a lot of dudes that that still talk to and stuff. Favorite player's tough. There's a lot of interesting guys. You can go down some interesting paths there, but
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, Danny Penner, like you mentioned, not only a great offensive lineman, but tight end when he first got there. I remember one of my favorite plays, during the Mike New era was him catching that touchdown. That was awesome. So, Shay, we'll kick it back to you. We'll kind of go around the horn here. Favorite game? It doesn't have to necessarily be a win, but favorite game from your time at Ball State?
I would probably have to either choose UCF at home in 2012?
Oh, USF.
Yeah. USF, sorry, South Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, UCF.
Yep, great one.
USF. And then or Virginia on the road at Virginia. USF because that was actually my first game as a ball boy on the sideline. And just watching Willie make that incredible catch in the back of the end zone. To me, that locked me into Ball State football for the rest of my life. But also nothing beats going on the road at Virginia and just hearing that crowd go silent when Juwan breaks a 40-yard run to go up 14 with about 3 minutes to play. And you knew the air just went out of the stadium. That was a fun flight home.
Yeah, well, when we've had Willie on the show, he talks about a lot during this non-conference schedule, especially at the beginning when we played Purdue and Auburn this year, about those games. And a lot of times we'll talk about, when they went to, Oklahoma and Clemson, some of these really big places where, they kind of got handed to him. But we'll always bring up Indiana and Virginia too. And he'll say in those scenarios, he's like, we knew going into that game that watching film that we were gonna go there and whoop up on those guys. And in those scenarios, that's exactly what happened. So that was an awesome game.
Yeah, and I'll just say going into Virginia, I'm not like us managers, we're not in the meeting rooms or anything like that when players are meeting, but just that week of practice, you could tell that the focus was there that there's a chance that we could run out of it, run out of Charlottesville with that win.
Oh, yeah.
And,
you could definitely feel like the confidence that the team and the players had, and they just had that like swag.
Yeah.
All right. Jeremy, what's yours? I don't know if it'd be the same as Shay's, but what are yours?
Yeah, I would definitely say Virginia. Virginia was absolutely incredible. Just like Shay was saying, you go there and we go up, and all of a sudden the place goes from 105 to 110 decibels down to nothing so quickly too. And that would probably be my favorite non-conference. Even though we lost the game, my favorite MAC game is definitely Northern Illinois when we went there for the MAC title. Seeing Jordan Lynch play and Jonathan Newsom missing that sack, unfortunately, but that was just super awesome to be there. What's the ESPN Fox guy that sent the bus?
Jason Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock, yeah, he sent the bus of the fans, and you could hear the chirp at first. So definitely MAC play would be that NIU game, and then non-conference ACC Virginia.
Perfect. All right, Jack.
I will say about that Northern Illinois game, that was probably the worst bus ride home because on the TV, the top 10 plays, like SportsCenter was just on the TV, just showing that missed sack by Newsom and how Jordan.
Oops.
You broke out.
Yeah, you broke out for a second there.
Oh. So when Newsom missed the tackle and Lynch broke the run, it was in the top 10 plays, and just on our way home, SportsCenter was just playing that play over and over and over again. It was a miserable time. It was one that we knew that got away from us.
Yeah. Jack, you were a little bit of a different time period than us, just kind of on the back end of it. So what about yourself?
Yeah, so I would say my favorite overall game. I think it might be my favorite game I've ever been to, in all my time of doing equipment, is when we went up to Notre Dame, and almost got that one there. Corey Lacanari actually scored the touchdown, but it got called back from illegal touching. But going up there, I was a ball boy too. I was actually a ball boy all 4 years as my time as a student manager at Ball State. And I was on Notre Dame's sideline. And I'll never forget, I'm standing there. And for a lot of people that don't know this, I'm sure you got a decent amount of Notre Dame fans that also kind of check in from Indiana. If it wasn't for the Ball State Cardinals, Ian Book doesn't have a career. We went up to Notre Dame, and we just made Brian Wimbush miserable to the point where I was on their sideline. I was standing behind Brian Kelly, and it was about the second quarter, and he turned around and not so politely told the quarterback coach to head to the showers, and he'll decide on Monday if he's going to have a job or not. And Brian Wimbush never played a game for Notre Dame after that. So going up there and kind of watching that all unfold and be a part of that was pretty cool. We didn't get the win, unfortunately, but just kind of seeing that environment, big time environment, and a close game, and kind of that experience with Brian Kelly sitting there yelling right at me. I mean, he pretty much was looking right through him. He wasn't yelling at me, but right within about 6 inches from him, listen to him politely tell the quarterback coach to head to the showers. Was pretty cool. And then probably the coolest MAC game was in 2019, my senior year. We go up to DeKalb, and we get those guys, get them for the first time in 10 years. And
a long time.
That whole experience and coming back. And I actually, since then, so my first 3 years, we lost to them. The last 3 years I played them, we beat them. And got to keep the Brown stock. And I don't know what's something about that game. I don't know if it's because I'm from the Northern Illinois area and had a bunch of buddies go to school there and stuff. But anytime we can go get those guys up at DeKalb, it's a great day in my book.
Yeah, so we had on Coach Yurmovich back, right after the spring ended, basically. And I told him, I said, look, I know you're new here, but you're not new to this rivalry. You worked at Northern Illinois for a while. I said, if this is the last time we're playing, and we cannot lose this game. This is the number one game on the schedule, bigger than Purdue, bigger than Auburn, bigger than all of them in my book, is we got to make sure we win this. I'm going to give you guys my games, but while I'm doing that, I want you to think, because our last question is going to be, I want your best story from each of the three of you. It can be whatever you want. It can be, I guess try and keep it somewhat PG, but I want your best story. So you think about that. I'll give you my two favorite games from my time. I was only worked there the 1 year. My favorite non-conference game definitely had to be Iowa. We went to Iowa. Obviously got to see the pink locker room and almost won. Probably should have won. We didn't play that great, but Iowa didn't take the lead until the very end of the game, like the last drive or two. And so I think we scored a defensive touchdown. I think it was the only touchdown we scored. So that one was pretty cool. And, we're leaving on the bus. And I'm thinking here, it's my first, big road game. And it's like, okay, whatever, the Iowa fans, they're just kind of be whatever. They were flipping us off when we were leaving. They were throwing stuff at the bus. They were doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Wasn't Iowa the place where we had to push all those trunks through the fans?
Yes.
Because the truck was, you had to go through the concourse, through the fans to get to the truck.
Yes. Yep. You got to go through up the elevator, through the concourse. You got to pass their locker room.
So we're trying to load the truck while all these fans were heckling us.
Yeah,
all to say.
Yeah.
And when I'm like in my normal everyday life, I'm pretty calm and usually am pretty nice to people. But something happens when I get inside the walls of those stadiums where I get feisty. And I remember that afterwards when people were heckling us and we're pushing trunks, I was going right back at them. Now I probably shouldn't have been doing that, but I was. I'll do that. Colts games, anything where I'm working, I'll get after people. But then my favorite conference game would have been, we went to Central Michigan, and it was pretty cold. It was pretty gross and gray. I got into it with the cheerleaders from Central Michigan that game. They were jawing at me when we were inside like the 10-yard line or something. They were jawing at me. I was jawing back at them. And Scott Secor hit I want to say, if it wasn't a 50-yard field goal, it was close. But if this is if this is the crossbar, the ball never got higher than right here.
And it was a windier than all get out there. I remember. Yeah.
So those are probably my two. So Iowa and then Central Michigan. So Shay, we'll start with you. The last question of the night.
Yeah.
Give me your best story. Equipment managers usually have great stories, so I want to hear what's your best story from your time at Ball State.
So, well, first of all, before I even get there, I don't want this episode to go by without mentioning Tex Ritter.
Oh yeah,
For the Ball State football fans out there, I didn't realize how big of a legend Tex Ritter was until I even graduated college.
Mhm.
Even 4 or 5 years removed from Ball State, I'd run into people and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you know Tex Ritter?" Then I said, "Yeah, how do you know Tex Ritter?" He's like, "He's a legend within the equipment room." So really, it was really cool to be able to work with Tex. He was a guy that always made sure us managers were taken care of. So uh, he he made sure that we had everything we needed and we were treated right within the program. So I just didn't want the episode to go by without naming his legendary name within college football. So.
True. Yeah, and Jeff Mitchell, if you're listening to this, I know we've had you on the show and you listen sometimes. We gotta get Tex's own spot in the Hall of Fame. I know he's in with some of the teams, a lot of teams, but we need to get him his own spot in there. So I'm gonna keep working on trying and figure out how to do that. But anyways, sorry, great point, Jay.
So my greatest memory was my senior year. It might have been my junior year because I think you guys were on the equipment staff with us there when our buddy Brandon Wolf, where we stop at a random gas station to get gas on the way. I forget even what game we were coming home from, but we stop at a random gas station and he's taking forever in this gas station. We're like, what is going on? And all of a sudden he walks out with this giant unicorn painting. This thing's bigger than my whole body. And we're like, what are you doing with that? And he's like, I don't know. I just bought it in there. And we're like, okay. So we get back to the equipment room and we hang it up in the back room of the equipment room. And I know I talked to Jack before he left Ball State. It was still hanging there. So I am interested. I do want to talk with the new equipment manager and tell him that cannot be touched because that is legendary between us managers from the past. So that needs to stay in the equipment room.
There you go. All right, Jeremy, what about you?
Yeah, Shay's right. Absolutely. Shout out Tex. Loved him as our head equipment manager. Really the thing that comes to mind is probably just the craziest thing that happened at practice was when Emily Harden got a concussion from Sweaty Brown running a seam, and the look team quarterback just launching it and Sweaty just ran her over. I mean, you just see her head like flop hit the ground and then plop up. So that's really the thing that kind of came to mind. Just the craziest thing.
Yes.
Or Shay, not being invited to the chicken out there in Toledo.
Yeah.
When you and I went.
Yeah.
Shay,
I still hold that grudge to this day.
Jack, before we get to you, Jack, Shay, you mentioned the Army game earlier.
Yeah. Do
I recall your pants falling off during that game?
No, yes. I swear it was Jawander Horatio breaks a run. And I'm the ball boy at the time. So I go sprinting down the sideline with them because I know they're out because as a ball boy, when the ball gets outside the numbers, you gotta be ready with the ball. Mm-hmm. So he takes off, so I take off, and my pants on national TV because it's on CBS Sports News just drop to the ground. Yes, I do.
I was hoping I remembered that correctly.
Yes,
yeah, I'm happy I did. Okay, all right, Jack, you got the longest tenure of anyone there. What's the number one story that comes to mind?
Yeah, I was sitting here as you guys were going and trying to think. There's a bunch of them for sure. I do got Shay. There is all those pictures are still there. The race hat is still hanging from the ceiling.
Okay.
Texas cups are still in the windowsill.
Good.
And, I think I got to go with the story. It's kind of a random one, but when I got back as the head guy, every head guy, you get in there, you're all eager, you want to clean things up and do things a certain way, and do this, that, and the other. And I decided, where I'm going to start? I'm going to go to the back kitchen area. For all y'all who haven't been into the Ball State equipment room, in our back corner over by our washers, we got a little kitchen area with a couple lockers. And Tex collected all the posters, game posters for all the years, and they're all hung up back there. So I start digging, and next thing I know, I come across a book, one of Tech's old books, and we've been talking a lot about Tech. Tech is one of the founding members of the Equipment Managers Association, AEMA, that I'm a proud member of and certified through and stuff myself. And getting there and start flipping through one of these books, and it has concussion records from like the year 1981 or something like that. Shay, I don't even think you were born in 81, were you? I don't know.
Nope.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking through them. In high school, it said there was like 5 concussions. And then college, it says there was 2, and then it said there was no concussions in the year 1981. So I think just sitting there flipping through all that stuff and just kind of finding some of the craziest things you would find in that equipment room throughout the years is that. Either that or we go to play Illinois in 2017. And that's when we had maybe arguably one of the best classes to ever come through Ball State. That was Caleb Huntley, Justin Hall, Bryce Cosby, all those guys were part of that class. And I love Caleb Huntley. But Huntley goes and plays that game, and we get done after the game, and Huntley comes up to us and goes, "Hey, you guys got an extra travel polo?" And we're like, "What do you mean? You all right?" Caleb Huntley wore his travel polo, something similar to what I would be wearing right now, for the whole football game underneath his pads, because he didn't realize that the game loop that we give them was to wear during the game. So just to catch everybody up on that, we hand out loops, laundry straps, and it has socks, it has compression shorts on it, compression shirts, anything, sleeves, anything the guys need to wear and play a game that you see them wearing on game day. We put it in their locker for them to wear. And Caleb Huntley didn't realize that's what it was for. So he wore all his travel stuff underneath his pads for his first college football game.
That is precisely why I wanted to do this show, for a story like that.
But also going back to him finding stuff about Tex. For those who don't know Tex, he never threw anything away. Everything and anything his tenure was in that equipment room. Which it was kind of cool to go back through and see some of the old jerseys and stuff that we had.
Mm-hmm.
But holy smokes, like the old lineman armbands. I remember telling him it's 2011, man. I don't even think those are style anymore.
Yeah, there's still stuff underneath the stadium in the old equipment room down there that I don't even know. It got to the point where I got scared. I knew it was down there, but I was able to go through some of those boxes.
I believe it.
Well, that was going to be our last question, but I'm going to add one more now since everyone's bringing it up. So, Shay, what's the most unique thing you ever found in the equipment room since, like you said, he never got rid of anything?
Most unique? One of those probably like movie-style jock straps in the equipment room. Just one of those. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, full cup on the front, just old style jog straps, and we were throwing that around into each other's lockers for about a few weeks with it. But that was probably the craziest thing I've ever seen in that.
All right, Jeremy, what about you?
Before I answer this, Jack, are those helmets still lined up on the shelves right there as you're looking through the window?
Yeah. So when you look through, we have all our our history of helmets. So every style Ball State helmet that we had, and then it was the schedule. So we would have our schedule laid out, and then over by the pass-throughs was all the old helmets. Which area is full, by the way. There's no more room for helmets.
The Tex would always trade helmets and put them up there. So
he would. I didn't never really went digging too much in the equipment room, to be honest, but I think one of the most unique things that I had seen was like a cardigan from the 1980s.
Oh.
It was just manila folder color with a big old B on it, and at first I thought it was a Letterman's jacket from back then, but it ended up just being like a knitted cardigan.
That'd be kind of sweet.
How you needed it.
Yeah. All right, Jack, I know you said you found those original like AEMA books, but was there anything else that stood out?
No, because there probably is things, but like for me, it was everyday stuff. You know, what I mean, it was every day. You were always finding something and doing stuff. Or like, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing really particular off the top of my head. Like I said, that uh, maybe a fox. One day I walked out in the middle. I got a call from Coach New, and he goes, "Hey, there's something on the field." And I walk outside, and there was a fox sitting in the middle of the field that we had to try to scare away. But they had a raccoon in there last year in the equipment room. But I was there for that one. But no, I mean, all kind of.
Well, unfortunately, that last story, you sounded like a robot while you're selling it. But did you guys hear that too?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Did
wrapping.
you transition into inside guy at the end?
Yeah. So
Okay.
once Ryan came in, Ryan McGorry, he was the guy that replaced Tex after Tex retired. He kind of did away with the inside outside. He wanted everybody to do the stuff on the inside as well as the outside to kind of split it up. So that is one thing I am thankful for. I got to see kind of how the managers work. And my last year got getting to work with the helmets a little bit more and distributing stuff to the players. But so there's just different contrasts. Tex had the equipment room locked down like Fort Knox.
Yeah.
I mean, alarm systems, everything when he wasn't in there.
Yeah,
And
if
then,
you were an outside guy, you really didn't get to go
you
inside.
really didn't get to go inside unless he wanted to talk to you back out behind there or whatever. But then I just remember when Ryan came, and this isn't a knock on either one, it's just the style of
Right, yeah.
that the door was always open. He's like, "Oh yeah, come on in. The door's always open." I'm like, "Well, this is completely different than how Tex ran it." But so it was a little bit of adjustment, but I enjoyed my time under both. I mean, both had great attributes. Like I said, they both took care of us when we were on the road. Another thing about Tex is like always when we went on the big road trips, he would make sure to add something fun for us managers. Like for example, when we went out to UMass, he set up for us to all get free admission into the Basketball Hall of Fame. So we all got to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame that I've never been to and get to do it for free. So when we were on the road, he would always take care of us, make sure we were taken care of. So it was very enjoyable.
Always took us to great restaurants, and you could give him your per diem, and he would.
And I'm surprised
whatever you wanted.
Jack never mentioned a book because he had a book of every school he's ever been to and like a list of 10 places to eat.
Yeah.
When we go on the road.
Yeah. So that's what 30 years of experience will get you. So
Tex did a good job of just making sure like the trip just wasn't about football and the equipment. To enjoy something else outside of the football and equipment world while we were on this trip. I was always grateful for that. So
yeah, for sure. All right, boys, this has been great. Appreciate your guys' time tonight. Appreciate your time working for the team and putting in all those hours for all those years. So I think this is great. Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, hey, it's memories that last a lifetime, man. When I think back on those days, it's good times.
That's right.
John, I appreciate what you do on this channel. I'm a big fan of it. I chime in all the time. I just think it's great what you're doing for not just Ball State football, but Ball State athletics. So there's nothing like this out there. So
that's right. Thank you. So yeah, and you guys, any of the viewers out there, you'll see Jeremy and Shay's name pop up a lot of time in those listener questions at the end of the show. They are both always pretty active there. So I appreciate that. That always gives us something to talk about at the end. So that is going to wrap up this edition of Ball State of the Union. But don't worry. Like I said, we're going to be back. We're going to be back in normal schedule on Wednesday. The guys have got a big guest. We have two guests. Our first guest, none other than head coach Mike Yurmovich, is going to stop by and talk about this first handful of weeks in getting ready for Ohio. And then we're also going to be joined by someone named Stephen Vitt. He's another member of the College Huddle like Ball State of the Union is. He runs an Ohio Bobcats show called the Bobcat Corner. So he's going to come on and give us an Ohio perspective so we can kind of get an idea of what we're in for that first MAC game of the year. So be sure to check in for that on Wednesday. We'll be live at 8:30. So you don't want to miss it. And again, as always, remember to like, subscribe, comment on any social media platform you're watching this. It really helps us grow this Cardinal community. We really appreciate all the fans out there, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.